clarification. So I will be just moderating Dr. Najat, right?
Yes, you will be moderating
Okay.
Dr. Najat, and second interactive session, you will also be commenting, questioning on Dr. Chen's presentation and also
Okay.
on Dr. Lin's comments. So overall,
Okay.
it's an interactive session with everybody, with the four of you in the third half, actually, in the third section after the speakers. Yes. So, Adish, have you started? Yeah, we see 17 participants already joining. Okay. We have 17 attendants. Welcome to everybody. We were just having a little internal talk with our speakers and also moderators. Let's give everybody 2 more minutes to join. There are many people joining in. All right. Wonderful. So let me begin and welcome everybody here, especially all the participants, and giving you a brief about how we are going to have our conversation today. We are going to have the first half of the talk devoted to the sustainability challenges that urbanists face, the urban planners, the practitioners face. And in the second half, we're going to talk about the solution and challenges and nature-based solutions to tackle those issues. So it's going to be a very interactive dialogue with all our speakers and moderators. And also pleased to also introduce and welcome also all our staffs, also Dolly from the Taipei Hub. There are many partners with us. And this is a series which is devoted to the early career researchers and also a science awareness program series that we do together with the Taipei Hub and the South Asia Hub. So with that, I would like to introduce our speakers, bottom to top. So we first have Dr. Chen, yes, who's gonna talk about the nature-based solutions. He is
Hi.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Chen. He is assistant professor at the department, National Taipei University. He also worked in the Department of Geography, Taiwan University earlier, and his interest includes urban regeneration, urban governance, planning theory and history, cultural heritage, very important, and his recent work focuses on planning, implementation, and upscaling the nature-based solution, and we will be hearing more about it in today's discussion. And the delegate who will be moderating his session is Dr. Lin. I always say your first name, so Dr.
Hello.
Lin. Yes, so that we have Dr. Lin with us, who's also joining us from Feng Chia University. And he's a member of Future Earth Early Career Research Working Group. He's an assistant professor in the Department of Urban Planning and Spatial Information. And he's also a part of various committees and a scholar to various universities. He graduated from the School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation. And Dr. Ling is also a certified urban planner, works on the committee for several central and local official agencies as well, besides his work as a professor and lecturer. So Dr. Len is currently also serving as a principal investigator for the Belmont Forum project, working on co-creating sustainable transformations of food supply chains through cooperative business models and governance. And his research interest lies in spatial, regional, urban planning, food systems, which is missed out in most of our conversation, GIS application, environmental sustainability, and net zero carbon emissions. And we look forward to the moderator also expressing his views in this whole interactive session. The first half of our session, devoted to 25 to 30 minutes, is going to be talked about the challenges faced by the urbanist. And the speaker for our first session is Dr. Najat. She's a senior lecturer in the University of Algiers, also a member of a low and middle income sustainable researcher in our Future Earth Assembly. She is an architect urbanist, specializes in cities, water, climate change, and is currently a senior lecturer at the Department of Architecture in the University of Algiers. She is a member of various national, international expert groups, consultant, and an active civil associations working in cities, climate change, water, environment, public health, geo-history and cultural heritage. And we so much look forward to her talk, which will be more moderated by Sri Devika Sharma Chetri. So Mrs. Devika is, sorry, just a sec. Mrs. Devika has completed a graduation in architecture from Jadavpur University, Kolkata, went on to do her studies in urban environment management, development planning from Asia Institute of Technology, also studied in Thailand, Kyushu University, Japan, and she has been very active implementing work, strategic planning, formulation of public policies with the government. And she has various capacities with the government of India, with the government of Sikkim, such as the principal chief town planner. And to hear practical perspective from her angle would be very interesting for this whole debate and conversation that we are having today regarding the challenges that the urbanists faced also. So with that, I would like to give the floor to the moderator. Mrs. Devika, you can now proceed and we can have Najat take over the talk. Thank you so much.
Hi. Good afternoon. I'm in a little bit of an awkward situation. My iPad is just run out of power, but then, well, I'll be in a slightly awkward angle. Please don't mind. Well, I look forward to this interactive session today, and I also look forward to listening to Dr. Najat, and her topic today is on, basically she'll be talking about cities, and the main issue that we need to look at after hearing her presentation will be how to make cities more inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So with that, I request Dr. Najat to proceed with her presentation, and then we can also discuss and take forward the points that she puts forth. Thank you, Dr. Najat. Can you kindly proceed with your presentation?
Please unmute. Dr. Najat, can you please unmute?
Oh, yes. Sorry. I will deactivate my video and share my screen. Is it okay for you?
Yes,
I can see it now.
So thank you so much. So the purpose of this presentation is about meeting SDG 11. That is the specific goal related or associated with urban planning and urban design and cities. So why are we questioning or speaking about issues and challenges facing professional or practitioners of urbanism? In fact, there is new issues today, and there is challenges at the local and global scale. Practitioners are dealing with the post-industrial city that is suffering various kinds of pollutions, poverty, precariousness, and overcrowding, and so many other problems, serious problems. So I have borrowed this original work to a street artist met in Genoa, in Italy, years ago.
Sorry, Dr. Najat, could you please expand your slide?
Oh, yes.
You could, yes.
Yes. Is it okay?
It's a beautiful representation.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's very original and very amazing and original work, artistic work. I have met the artist. It is a street artist in Genoa, in Italy, in southern Italy, years
But
ago.
we still cannot see it in a full screen mode.
Professor,
Right.
you would have to put it in slideshow mode.
Yeah,
Slideshow
it has
mode, which
to
is
kindly start your slideshow.
That's what I have done.
There is that icon on the left side, top left.
I don't know. The problem is that you can here. Sorry, like that. Is it okay? Do you see the full
We can
screen?
hear you. We can.
Do you
Oh
see
yes,
the-
now
the-
you're fine. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yes. So we see here that the perception is different. The artistic, the aesthetic perception of the city is very far or very quite different from the reality. As the mission of urbanists is very complex and critical than it appears. Bypassed, we have another idea of this mission. Urban planning and design was just, let's say, a special organization or the organization of the space of the urban settlement. But now the mission appears reveal more complex. That's why the SDG 11, that is one amongst the Sustainable Development Goals, connect the city to various aspects of life on Earth, designed as vital goals. SDG is one amongst 17 goals. It is one element of a system where every element have reciprocal links and close dependency with each other. So SDG 11 involve various sectors. It has 10 targets. We can see target 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then additive targets that are 11A, B, and C. It involves different sectors, disciplines, governance levels, and then stakeholders. When it is implemented or when we try to implement, also we have to consider different contexts, natural context and anthropic context. So we have to address different issues, resilience, vulnerability, risk, parameters or features, local features, and also we face different challenges depending on the legal framework, practices, behaviors, etc. So as an example, target 11B that deal with resource efficiency and disaster reductions. So how urbanists should deal with this target, or how can they implement this target? First, they have to collect or to gather together a basic general knowledge about or on ecosystems, natural resources, hazards, as systems, as dynamic systems, and as cycles, natural cycles. So even if this knowledge may appear far from their very own or first expertise, as like hydrogeology, climate, water cycle hydrology, and ecology. Another thing is that urbanists also need to know about the local context, how local communities and natural environment have interacted over time and how they do now, how they impact each other over time. So this is this designate the ecology disciplines like ecology and geohistory. Another example is target 11.1 that is about safe and how to provide safe and affordable housing. So we can see that these two photos are from Algiers. We can see that when urbanists try to answer this target, there could be some insufficiencies. For example, we see on the photo on the left, a collective housing where rainwater stagnate in a marshy, because the soil is a marshy soil. The nature of the land is a marshy soil. Maybe it hasn't been or it hadn't been considered at the start when the project has been planned. The second example on the right is about individual housing. So we can see here it's a high standing individual housing in the form of a gated residential neighborhood. So as a result, we can notice a social segregation within the city. So what happened when we don't have this basic knowledge, when we have not this global these skills, when we don't know how to deal with these new issues and how to answer the SDG 11. Let's start with a very relevant and representative example of a lack or poor knowledge of the local context, and maybe a poor knowledge, scientific and technological knowledge. Here we can start with Biskra, that is an oasis, southern Algeria. It is designated as or known as the desert gate. It is an arid climate, even it isn't in the wide desert of Algeria. So the oasis of Biskra have been painted and sublimated by Orientalist painters. We can see here some example. It is a very wonderful landscape with water, palm groves, and some houses, and the urban area named Qsar. So we can see here the oasis is a very beautiful human settlement, and it is described as being a piece of paradise or Eden. But the lesson learned from this historical settlement is about its dynamic system. It is not a static system. It has also evolved over time. So it is the oasis is a dynamic system based on three elements or components that are the palm grove, water, often it is in the form of groundwater, and the Qsar, that is the built environment. So this dynamic system has evolved in harmony with the surrounding nature, whatever it is, a hostile environment or nature. The oasis is designated or characterized or known as an urban setting. It is not a rural setting, but an urban setting. For some consideration, you may know about the density, the residential density and activities within the perimeter of the oasis. So we can see here that are some ancient photos from the oasis of Biskra. We can see the palm grove, the kind of building material and architecture. It is, of course, it is earth material or clay material, let's say, and large street in the periphery, but within the center of the city. We will see on the next photo here, or the next diapositive here, that the urban layout was adopted the organic form, and it was delineated by some artificial canals where we can find water, and where the community or the population get water. So after that was the historical city oasis. But at the beginning of the 19th century, there have been a breaking point due to the French colonization. So we can see that new authorities or new authority or new government don't have the knowledge or don't know the specific of this context. So they have not considered geohistory nor the local ecology. And then we see that on the left, the historical city becomes just a very small area when the city grown over the Wad Zarzur that now is crossing the modern city. As a result, today, there is a quasi-complete degradation of the palm grove, a drawdown of the water table, and a general environment pollution. Of course, there is also a new urbanism that has a new form of urban growth, or new pattern of urban growth, starting from the French colonial period. So what was the known oasis equation elements are now three unknown elements, since the Qasr and the palm grove and water are suffering degradation, and sometimes serious degradations. For example, Wad Zarzur, that was bypassed an amazing river at the periphery of the city, where kids used to have games and to meet, is now a dry river dividing the city into two unequal entities in terms of quality and quantity or density. So Biskra is no more a modern city, even if it wants to be a modern city. It has adopted the orthogonal frame or pattern, or urban pattern. We can also see a repetitive architecture pattern of collective housing. We can see, we can observe that the palm grove is abandoned and degraded. We can see also very few trees and a sparse vegetation. So it is not a modern city, but it is no more an oasis, an authentic oasis. So in synthesis, what can we say? Or in summary, there are three kinds of requirements or levels of requirements that urbanist practitioners should fulfill, because we are now speaking about the profession, not about studies or research. We are speaking about implementing SDG 11. So there are three kinds of requirements that urbanists should fulfill. The first is that they must collect and combine various types of knowledge and skills, scientific and technical, including local or popular knowledge, based on an extensive experience in the local context. That is to understand or to better understand and to be familiar with what it is going on locally and what could be done and how. This is partly the duty of the education and training institutions, of course, and partly their own responsibility. In Algeria, architect and urbanist curricula lack this polycentric and transdisciplinary dimension. Students often have limited exposure to ecology, a vague understanding of geography, and don't know what to do with the bits of the history they learn when and if it is taught appropriately. I open here parenthesis about the history or teaching history, because we have to consider to decolonize history. The history of our country is not as it is presented by some historian. So we have to be careful about that. The second requirement is that urbanists and also architects, of course, should stop copying star architects and prestigious projects awarded worldwide. Instead, they should adapt their design to the social, economic, and natural context, local context, of course, drawing inspiration from local heritage, as it is recommended now by UNESCO and a lot of researchers and experts. That is also a shared responsibility, as one should enhance his knowledge of his own culture and heritage, both natural and cultural heritage, while understanding the real benefits and long-term effects of so-called innovative technologies and approaches. Third, urbanists should broaden their professional horizons and view human beings as a whole and divisible entities with basic needs and intellectual as well as spiritual aspirations. That approach is implicit in the concept of health, as stated by WHO, or the World Health Organization, and some physician, which includes physical, mental, environment, and spiritual health requirements. So in conclusion, I would like to emphasize the importance of examining the education and training curricula in our countries, specifically in our countries, and possibly on a global scale. Yes, of course, the scientific and technical knowledge is without doubt crucial and should evolve over time. However, the human dimension and diversity are equally vital and should be given priority. Unfortunately, it appears that is the missed dimension. Promoting the implementation of SDG 11 is the responsibility of trainees and trainers, including craftsmen and anyone with relevant experience, skills, and knowledge. Moreover, we all need, I would like to insist on that we all need to question, improve, update, and adapt continuously. It is not enough to get a diploma or a certificate or a recognition. The real work begins just afterward. And thank you for attention.
Yep. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Najet. That was a really wonderful presentation as an academician. You touched upon all the points of SDG 11, and you ran us through the history of cities, how cities have emerged You touched upon the post-industrial cities, the pollution, the poverty that cities are normally associated with, and how do you work towards sustainability? You ran us through space, time, nature, and also the benefits, of safe and affordable housing, wherein you made a comparison between collective and individual housing. And I particularly liked basically, how you ran us through the evolution of the dynamic urban systems. Now, the cause and effect relationships that you talked about, I think basically that's how things eventually, we as all urban planners and urbanists, we have to eventually work out how the cities are being affected and what are the causes, what are the phenomenons that are causing all the cause and effect, and therefore establishing the relationships is a very important aspect of our planning regime. And I think you were very right when you said that the role of urbanists now is to basically combine science, technology, and most importantly, it is very important for us to reflect on the local resources that we have, the local knowledge systems and feedbacks when you're interacting. And we need to, of course, broaden our horizons, because without that, it's impossible for us to understand, the underlying causes. And as architects, I too am an architect. So as architects, we have a very responsible role in society, because all built environment eventually translates to how it is done architecturally. What is the planning methodology that you've used, and what are the systems that you've put in place? What are the knowledges that you're going to put into place when you're designing a city, or even when you're designing a building or a neighborhood? What are the materials that are being used? What is the sustainability aspect of each and every design that you have? And the conclusion wherein you put the importance of education and training curriculum across countries, because here this is a global challenge. We all face urban challenges in our own ways, and what is very pertinent for you today may not be very pertinent for me right now. But so long we have systems where all the urban challenges are kind of addressed together by architects, by planners, and I'm a firm believer of local knowledge, like you very importantly pointed out, because there is a lot of wisdom in the way we've done things in the past. Historically, if you see, all communities and all countries were very sustainable, but with this whole process of urbanization, which also equates to environmental degradation, that is where challenges started. And the rush for achieving more and more, because cities are the engines of growth, and where more and more people want to come, but at the same time there is this whole profit oriented society which cities generate, and then the whole ethos of humanity is lost in the cities. And that is where I feel the whole system rethink about how we need to address urban challenges, and what are the systems that that we could simplify. I think it's very important for us to also go back to our ways, the way we lived, and what were the processes we followed, and go back in history and see if we can somehow imbibe our old practices, and the old practitioners who are still kind of living their life in a very sustainable way. So we need to, in our curriculum, in the colleges and education institutions, we need to expose them, I feel. We need to expose them to the local systems, and we need to also, make them aware that systems apart from what we have, what we are teaching in colleges, do exist. So I think you brought it out very well in your short presentation of 15 minutes, that human dimension is, we need to prioritize. So thank you very much for now. I think we'll be discussing more on the topic, and pleasure listening to you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Smriti, for now. Are you there, Smriti?
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. Next we have, I think the next session we will be talking more about addressing these challenges through a nature-based solution. So I hand it over to our moderator, Dr. Lin, and to our speaker, Dr. Chen. Yes.
Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome all of you again. Actually, today is a national holiday in Taiwan here. We call the Mid-Autumn Festival or Moon Festival. And it's also kind of informal National Barbecue Day. Every family loves to stay together and enjoy barbecue for dinner. So now I can smell the barbecue from outside of my window. So it's my privilege to be the second moderator today. I'm Yin-Chen Lin, and the second presenter today, Dr. Yongchen Zheng. He awarded his PhD from the University of Kassel, Germany in 2021, just 2 years ago. And now he is not only an assistant professor at the Department of Real Estate and Built Environment, National Taipei University, and also a member of the Urban Working Group Futures Taipei. Today, Dr. Chen will share some case study from his current research results titled Mainstreaming Nature-Based Solution in Urban Areas, Lessons from Taipei. Dr. Zheng, you will have about 15 to 20 minutes for your sharings, and then follow the Q&A section. And during the presentation, if participants have any questions or comments, please just leave it in the chat box. Okay, please join me to welcome our second presenter, Dr. Yongchen Zheng. Dr. Zheng, the screen is yours.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks for the opening words by Dr. Lin. And my name is Yongchen Chen, and he already introduced lots about me. So I'm an assistant professor from the Department of Real Estate and Built Environment in National Taipei University. And today I'm going to share some case studies of our recent research on nature-based solutions. I will take some ecological parks as examples to show you how we are trying to mainstream NBS in Taipei. So perhaps all of you have heard about nature-based solutions, and despite there are different definitions of NBS, it is commonly agreed that NBS have the potential to solve coupled environmental, social, and economic challenges under climate change, and also can produce multifunctional co-benefits of human well-being and biodiversity. So NBS is considered as an umbrella concept that can integrate some similar approaches, including ecosystem-based adaptation, blue and green infrastructure, and some engineering technology like LID and ecological engineering, as well as ecosystem services. So when using the term of NBS, those data, they remind us that we should focus on what forms and functions of nature that we are using as interventions, and under which governance structure and social spatial context that these NBS can help to achieve urban development goals. So, but despite its growing popularity, so there is still knowledge gaps concerning NBS mainstreaming, upscaling, and institutionalization as a top policy priority. So the underlying concept of NBS mainstreaming is derived from a social-technical system perspective. The niche innovations and experiments can be enlarged and multiplied at larger scales, thereby driving regime shift and landscape change for sustainable developments. However, upscaling and mainstreaming is not a linear process of diffusion. We have to identify the challenges and barriers in NBS mainstreaming. So Vassler, they have developed an mainstreaming framework with three levels and 6 strategies. So at the local level, MBS mainstreaming focus on the reduction of exposure and vulnerability to the natural hazards and the response to the response and recovery from disasters. And at the institutional levels, MBS can at the institutional levels, MBS planning, implementation, and collaboration and monitoring should be brought into policies and regulations. And lastly, at the interinstitutional level, external cooperation with various stakeholders and citizens can enhance public participation and mutual learning. And Raymond et al. They also propose a 7-stage policy process of MBS, and they, through this policy cycle, proof of MBS concepts and benefits will be demonstrated and will enable MBS upscaling and mainstreaming. So this implies that we need to assess how cities can learn from past experiences and how they can create institutional spaces for transformative changes in governance and practices, and how MBS can drive sustainable and resilient urban transitions. So from the above mentioned discussions of MBS mainstreaming, we developed a research framework for MBS mainstreaming. So from here, we have MBS as a new concept in science and policy. And these have to be fitted in the place-specific context of planning process. And we take a socio-ecological technical system perspective, and we try to understand how MBS can respond to the ecological and biophysical environment, and how MBS can apply new technologies and integrate it with infrastructures, and while addressing socio-economic challenges in a localized urban governance system. So we also acknowledge that the 3 dimensions, they are interacting with each other at all 3 levels of the mainstreaming framework, which may contribute to MBS trend mainstreaming and upscaling. Okay. Okay, now we come to the city of Taipei. This map shows the geographical distribution of different types of MBS in the city, which is a reflection of the fact that our open spaces are governed by different departments. For example, we argue that green infrastructure is one type of MBS, but they are governed by 5 different state and municipal government departments. And so this means that MBS as a holistic and integrative approach is difficult to implement because we have to deal with the cooperation between different government departments. And in Taipei, we have the Taipei Sponge City program since 2015. And as the name already indicates, that this program deals with water-related issues, but it can also be applied to green space management. For example, the parks and green spaces that is the focus of today's presentation. So we will show how urban parks are being transformed to meet multifunctional benefits, including climate change mitigation and adaptation, biodiversity, and also to enhance governance, change the cross-sectoral cooperation and citizen participation. So this is a typical neighborhood park in the city. At first glance, we may think, oh, this is a nice place with a lot of green and shadow in hot summer weather. But with a closer examination, we will find that the biodiversity in the park is actually low due to very few tree species and with single layers of trees. And because this kind of park are often co-constructed with underground car park, so the soil depth is not suitable for tree plantation. And also there are some concrete curbs and gutter systems that prevent surface runoff from infiltration. And with another angle, we also see that there are impervious pavements in the park. that often cause flooding during heavy rainfall. And also there are various users of the park. They want to use the park for different activities. So making any change in the park a difficult mission. But now I will show you some recent trends to transform these parks. So the first case is Yongchunpi Wetland Park in Xinyi District. And this park was a formal military base. So it showcases how a formal gray infrastructure can be turned into a green infrastructure. And from the aerial photo, we can also see that the park is located in proximity to hillsides. So it could be an important ecological stepping stone to build the green corridors in the city. Okay, so this park featured a series of constructed wetlands. And the wetlands can provide a variety of natural habitats for different species. And so we can see not only the constructed wetlands, but there are also urban farming and constructed drainage system in the park. And also this park is divided into 3 areas. For the first 2 areas, they are open to the public, but those wetlands are protected for natural conserve. And also, since the park is located on a hill slope, and soil and water conservation engineering is applied to the construction of the wetlands. So the wetlands can also accommodate stormwater and to improve water quality. And in this case, we have observed the cooperation between different government sectors. So the geotechnical engineering office can provide technical advices for the construction work, and the park and streetlight office is responsible for the management and maintenance after its completion. We also observed that there is an interdisciplinary planning team have built a close relationship with local environmental NGOs and community colleges. And so the NGO, they not only participate in the planning process, they also engage in the maintenance, monitoring, and educational work. And the second case is the Da'an Park. And the Da'an Park is located in the city center. As we can see, it is a densely built urban environment. And the park was first opened in the 1990s. So at that time, the park is purposed for sport and recreation purposes. So it looks relatively artificial. So now we try to bring more nature into the park. And as the park is in a city, there is less reference to the natural environment that can be taken into the park. So after a long discussion, the planning team decided to restore habitats for fireflies in the parks. So fireflies were common in the cities, but due to fast urban development, now we can only see fireflies in the mountains. So to restore the habitat, that means they need clean water, and also they need some native tree species and aquatic plants to provide them food and shelter. And also these habitats can be accessed by visitors. And there are also technical engineering parts in the habitat restoration. For example, the rain harvesting system, as we can see that it is installed underneath the walking trails. So it cannot only store rainwater, but it can also supply water to the ecological ponds. And also the use of special light wavelengths for street light can avoid the interruption from human activities. So in this case, we have seen that a private company, which is a big enterprise in Taiwan, that support the renovation of the park and also the operation of the NGOs and the volunteers. And the NGO also have some retired professors from nearby universities. They work as consultants and they work with the planning team to drive the park transformation. And the third case is the Qian Parks in Beitou. And so there are 2 parks there are the Qian Park #1 and #2. So the parks are located along the river, but as we can see that the river is a channelized river, and it is separated by 2 roads from the parks. So now the city government tried to change this, to try to integrate the river with the park, so the river can be more natural. So they apply the idea of room for the river and try to remove and to demolish the river dikes and to restore the riparian habitats. And this also means there are more opportunities for people to access to waterfront and green spaces. And flood risk reduction is a top priority in this case. So with the help of the hydraulic engineers, the park can serve as natural water retention. As we can see at normal water level, the river and the ponds are separated. But when there are heavy rainfall, the water will the stormwater will temporarily stored in the open spaces to prevent downstream floods. In this case, we also observe the cooperation between different government departments, and an interdisciplinary team have cooperate with NGOs and community colleges. But we also observe that some local residents, they are sometimes excluded from the process. Okay, so my last case is Zhonghe #4 Park. And this park is like Dalian Park. It is in the middle of the city center. And also this park is not in Taipei City, but in New Taipei City. But I think this is an interesting case that can make some comparison with the 3 others. So, so as we can see, the park is still dominated by hard surface. So the Taiwan Forestry Research Institute, which is a division of the central government, tried to test how to build a multi-layer close to nature forest into this park. So they select some native species and try to recover the nature of this park. But if there are more trees in the park, then that means there are less open space for sport and recreation. So negotiation will be very important. So through the exhibition of ecosystem service, for example, this is a soil improvement experiment. It can demonstrate and make people understand the benefits of urban forests and to accept the renaturing of the park. So in terms of governance, we see that the Taiwan Forest Research Institute takes a leading role in this case, but they still have to cooperate with local authorities and to gain permission to enter into the park. And also we see the support from local community college, and they have training and educational programs for the volunteers team, so they can take charge of the maintenance and monitoring work. So just to compare the 4 cases, we see that the Chenpi Wetland Park and the Qian Parks, they are located near the hills and the waterfront, so they can draw the natural environment into the MBS actions. And the 2 other parks, the Dalian Park and the Zhonghe #4 Park, they are located in the densely urban environment. So habitat restoration or urban forest will be other options. So in terms of environmental performance, we see that stormwater management are often adopted in these cases. So, but we found out that climate mitigation, such as urban heat, is rarely discussed. And in terms of governance structure, we see that both bottom-up and top-down approaches in the cases, but only the last case, the Zhonghe case, we see that there is a leadership from the state. And participation by environmental NGOs and community colleges is quite common, but there is a danger that local residents might be excluded. And also, we see that cooperation with the private sector is only seen in the Da'an Park. So I would like to emphasize on the aspect of urban governance on MBS mainstreaming. So first, we have observed collaboration between municipal governments in these cases, which can contribute to MBS planning and implementation. But there is a lack of cooperation at the national level. We argue that for MBS to be upscaled and mainstreamed, national policy on MBS will guide local authorities to implement MBS. And second, we have seen that in many cases, an interdisciplinary planning team composed of planners, landscape architects, ecologists, hydraulic and transportation engineers can benefit a comprehensive and holistic approach of MBS design. And in Taipei, planners are often responsible for public participation, and they can communicate and translate scientific knowledge into actionable practices. And this means that planners, they act as intermediary to bridge different stakeholders, which is very important. And thirdly, while many environmental NGOs and community college members have engaged in MBS projects, many of them, they are interested in environmental issues, and they have long dedicated themselves into environmental topics. But it is difficult to truly include and empower local residents and citizens. So this is something that we should consider, how MBS strategies that can be accepted and welcomed by neighborhoods for its mainstreaming. And lastly, as I have mentioned before, that private sectors can also contribute to MBS, especially their financial support to MBS. But there is also a concern of the neoliberalization of urban nature. So we think that the public-private partnerships and its mechanism should be institutionalized, and so to create more spaces for the private sector to participate. So to conclude, I think MBS mainstreaming is important and challenging, and which means that MBS is not just a conceptual framework, but it can also be practically realized. So from our experiences, MBS should take a landscape approach to draw natural environment into the city, and the previous experiences from the past can inform innovative strategies for sustainable urban transformations. And to mainstream and upscale MBS, both top-down urban policies and bottom-up initiatives should be integrated to enhance a more inclusive and participatory governance structure for its mainstreaming and upscaling. So this is my sharing. Thanks for listening. And I will appreciate if you have any questions. Come in.
Okay, thanks for Dr. Jen's sharing. We can find that the concept of MBS is also quite connected to not only the SDGs 11, but also SDG 9 about infrastructure, SDG 13, the climate action, SDG 15, ecosystem, and also the SDG 17, the partnership. So although I'm also an urban planner here, but actually I'm not so familiar with the current situation of the planning by the MBS in Taiwan. But because of the limit of time, so maybe we can just go for the QX section. And I have some question to the Dr. Chen, and I can raise my question in the QX section. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yes, we could do that. Maybe if you could stop sharing your slide, Dr. Chen.
Okay.
You could then interact with all the speakers and moderators, and which allows us. We do have another 15 minutes. So I would like to open a conversation where we, of course, had instances from Algiers, we had it from Taipei, then we had moderators also to reflect on what they said. And now I open the floor for our moderators and speakers to interact with each other. We already have a hand raised there. If you could just pop your hands, I will allow you to talk. So Dr. Lin, yes.
Yeah, thank you. I have some question to Dr. Chen. From the cases in your slides, we can find that both of the environmental NGO and the community scenes play a quite essential role. But what is the attitude of the official planning department toward NBS in Taiwan? That is my first question. And I got my second question is about, in addition to parks, what other possibilities are there for cities to promote the NBS? That is my two questions to Dr. Chen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the questions. I think because NBS, they are still an experimental strategies in Taiwan, so the planning departments, they are also learning with these experiments. And so their attitude is they are quite open to NBS, but because the planning departments, they are responsible mainly for example, land use control and some urban planning, the modification of urban plans and so on. So we think that NBS is a complete process from planning to its design and implementation and its maintenance. So that although the planning departments are open to it, but there's still like a certain regulations that can formalize NBS into the planning process. So I think this is what we should do. So, but in terms of governance, I think the planning agencies, they are now cooperating with the various stakeholders, so that these advocacies from the NGOs, they will be incorporated into urban policies. And to your second questions, today I only showcased the urban parks as one example of NBS, but I think there are two other types of NBS that are now also very popular in Taiwan. The first is the river restoration. So today we have one case about a river, but the Huanggang River is still a very small river in the city. So we have other bigger rivers, and these rivers have some problems because they are often channelized. They have concrete dikes along the river, and this will so now the city, now the government is trying to promote more natural water retention along the river Benzing. So it will be one area to apply the NBS concept, and the other one is the forests. So now in the concept of net zero transition, so forests can play an important role to carbon sink. And this is also one area that we can apply the NBS strategies. Oh, there is another dimension that in the cities, we can still see some small-scale NBS strategies, for example, the green roofs, the pervious pavements, as well as some rain gardens. This small-scale NBS can also be integrated into urban design and some development projects. Yeah, this is my answer. Okay, so I think we have one question from the audience, right? Yep.
Also, yes. Also, if the moderator speakers would want to interact with, if you have any questions, then we will move to the audience. We do have time.
Well, can I just make a comment here?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you see this whole renaturing of your parks and rivers, extremely impressive. But you see, you've gone very far, because you have taken the 4 examples that you showed us are kind of pilot projects, it appears to me. And but how come you still haven't institutionalized it at a country level, like at the national level? Couldn't that be done? Because these are success stories, and these could very much be put in the framework of policies, so that more duplication, and if these serve as some kind of an example, this is a very noble way of doing things, I feel, because it's like going back to the roots, you know, letting things be as natural as they are. So how come this is not institutionalized at the national levels? This is my question. Or is there some kind of is it on the pipeline, or what is happening with it?
Okay, I think it is not easy to be institutionalized at the national level because park is often managed by local authorities. So actually, it is the local governments. They have the power and they have the authority to transform these parks. So although at the national level, there could be some guidance or some recommendations for NBS, but it still needs to be localized, to be put into the local practices for its implementation. So I think for this case is because I only focus on Taipei. I think there are of course some other cases in other cities in Taiwan. But just I think we want to use these cases to show that there are different pathways of NBS that can be applied to urban parks. So that we have different types of parks. That some of are in the city center, some are the hillsides, are at the waterfront, and they are presenting different kind of parks, and they have different contexts, different environments. So the way they are applying NPS will be also slightly different. So I think this is what I want to emphasize today. Yeah.
Dr. Lin, we have also you have your question.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question to Dr. Nadia or Devika. Because I'm not so familiar with the situation in India, just regarding to the SDG 11, India now is with the highest population country of the world, right? So not like Taiwan, we are facing the severe aging society and population declining problems. So I would like to know what is the most important challenge faced by the urban planner in India right now as the population continue to grow. That is my question. Thank you.
I think it's...
Yeah, Dr. Lin. Well, India is very vast, as you are aware, and different regions have very different challenges. And population being one of the most challenging situations. We are the most populated country today, and there are many policies that the government of India keeps making for housing, for infrastructure, and so India had this, which is still ongoing. India had this smart city mission, which was launched in the year 2017, and which is still ongoing. And this was to, make the cities smarter, make it more intelligent, and which has been a success to a certain extent. But even more important than that is the earlier in the erstwhile government that there was this policy by the name of the Urban Renewal Mission. It was called the JNNURM, National Urban Renewal Mission, where a lot of good work happened, a lot of infrastructure was created, and the planning for cities, for population distribution, a lot of it was done at that time. Now, the biggest challenge, if you ask me, is density, basically, and how to kind of bring down the urban density in different areas. Housing is another challenge, which is completely related to urban density. So the government of India currently is in a mission where the focus is on creating, housing for the middle class and the lower middle class. So these are, challenges. I cannot pinpoint and say there is one important challenge, because there are so many of them going simultaneously across different regions. So as far as we are concerned, I come from the northeastern part of India. We're very close to China, and we are sandwiched in between Nepal and Bhutan from the Himalayas actually, and we have a very different challenge. Disaster management is one major issue, and watershed management. We have to plan for supplying water to all the urban areas. And the other point that we have here in Sikkim, I mean, I come from the state, a province in India called Sikkim, which became a part of India in 1975. And our challenge today is traffic. Most of the most important challenge is traffic. And how are you going to manage the mess when we expect like almost half of India's population living in the cities in 2050? So urbanization and in-migration to the cities is one of the biggest challenges faced. And we have the largest metropolis in the world, the urban agglomeration, that is the capital city of Delhi. So it's ongoing. I mean, I cannot just pinpoint and say that, it is one particular problem. And there are policies which evolve and which keep coming up with time. And it's not exactly a tried and tested policy. So what happens is when you run a policy, addressing a particular need, then again, it brings about further problems. So it's an ongoing process, I would say, like with most countries. So, I mean, I cannot really pinpoint and say that, okay, this is the challenge for one part of the country. So.
Thank you for that. We do have questions also from Adish. Then we'll move to Najib. Adish.
My question is to Dr. Cheng. I wanted to know as to how you are able to convince there are different stakeholders for each park who are maintaining them. So how are you able to tell people that this nature-based solution is good for them? And how are you able to get it to different people and get to participate with the scientific knowledge that you have? And the next question I had was, what is the role of private sector in a park? Like, how are they able to participate? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so to the first question, yeah, we have seen that there are some different NGOs and also community college members. And these NGOs, they are mainly environmental NGOs that they are very active in environmental movements, and also they have caring about the environmental issues in the city for a long time. So I think the city and the planning teams, they try to invite these NGOs to participate in the planning process. It is more easily to communicate with them and also to gain their support of the NBS projects. But this will raise another issue that it is very possible that while these projects are very environmentally oriented, but there will be some other aspects that the local residents or citizens, they will care about. So these parts might be excluded from the planning process. This is something that we should pay attention to. And so, for example, in parks, there are different groups of people that are using the park in different ways. So we have to negotiate with them that perhaps not all the parks, not the whole park is transformed, but often we will start from a corner for a small park, from a small area in the park to test how these NBS approaches will be accepted or not. And then if we can get more public support, then that means that we can enlarge the project. Yeah, so this is to the first question. And the second is, yeah, the private sector, I think the private sector, there is a mechanism of to encourage the private sector to adopt the urban parks. that means that this private sector that will help the city to especially financially support the maintenance and management of the parks. So in our cases, we see that many of the NGOs, they also have some active members. They have a close relationship with the private sectors. So the private sector will support their educational programs to support the volunteers to manage the parks. So this is how the private sector can participate. Yeah, in our cases. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. Najet, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, it is not a question, actually. It is maybe a compliment. I just want to add about the most important issues that are facing urbanists. Devika explained or presented the case of India, but I can say about Algeria and maybe all Mediterranean cities and also all the cities in the world, that we are dealing with some informal urbanism. You know what is it in our countries. So even the planned urbanism or planned urbanism also present some issues, serious issues. So we are following some inappropriate or implementing some inappropriate urban growth patterns, if informal or planned. That is from one hand. The second concrete problems we have to deal with are, of course, the water governance, water supply, wastewater.
Sorry, you got unmuted, Najet. I think you got, yes.
And of course, solid waste. All these challenges are interconnected because we are dealing with a system, an urban ecosystem. That is very important to notice. From another side, the problem is we are dealing with a hybrid city. That is our reality. The problem is that we have introduced, we or maybe some others before us, have introduced strange elements to our urban system, to our traditional urban system. So, and also this is a reality we have to deal with. So when an urbanist are not called to resolve these all problems alone, they have to contribute to, and they have to work with other disciplines and sectors. Also, in our cultural heritage, we have some pattern or form or private-public partnerships, civil participation or community participation, and etc. So when we want to customize or tailor measures, we can draw from ecology, geography, history that are very specific data characterizing our urban setting. That is, we are also in the global solution when we are drawing from ecology, geography, and history. So that will help us to face these challenges and to address these issues. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment, Najet. Adish, you have your...
Hello, there's a question by one of the participants, Erwin Nakairo, and he says that in what way the NBS mainstreaming would be directly beneficial to the people, particularly in the rural area where the planning system is limited. This question has been raised, according to him, is due to the rising mining and taken system as primary income, particularly for indigenous people. So basically, he's asking what is the way the NBS would be directly beneficial to people.
Well, I think this question is not easy to answer, but I think it can be open to a discussion. Yeah, I think because there are different contexts in different countries, so I would say that MBS mainstreaming can also be beneficial to rural areas, because in rural areas there will be other different types of challenges and problems that we are facing. And also in rural areas, there are also more, and perhaps there will be more natural resources and natural environments that we can use as solutions to deal with these problems. But as you said, that there are also the mining and canaging system in some areas. So I think we have to think about how the natural system is interacting with the social system in that areas, and how people, they not only use the natural resources, but also how can these resources be sustainably managed. I think this will be an important topic that we can follow on. And yeah, perhaps there will be some other discussion or some other some ideas from other moderators and speakers. Perhaps you can add on. Yeah, but this is what I could think of that.
Can I just make an observation?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, what you've presented, this nature-based solution, is really a very novel idea. And you see, all these challenges that we face as urban planners and urbanists, there is no clear written systems anywhere, I feel. And it is with evolving technologies, with evolving stakeholder involvement at different levels, starting from creating institutions and local solutions. I think localized solutions from across countries, from different areas, and these are the only ways I feel that one can actually, come to some kind of a solution regarding problems. Now, we always knew that you have these wetlands for absorption, water absorption, and it's very necessary for the regeneration of the soil and to maintain soil health, etc. But what you've done is you've taken it a step further and created them into parks, even better, because then it creates that green lung space for the people living in urban areas. But apart from that, you see, the way you've done things, the way you put together the systems and the involvement and the public-private partnership and the institutionalization at the local level, of course, these are very good solutions. So I feel like for any area to come up with solutions for urban problems, one has to look at the of course, we do that as planners. We do look at the socio-cultural aspects, because it's also important to have bear in mind the willingness of the stakeholders. Whenever you come up with a solution, if it's just a top-down approach, it's never really workable. But if it's a bottom-up approach involving the stakeholders at all levels, and the willingness, to test the willingness of the people when you're kind of applying something, new ideas to solve a particular problem. These, I think, could be documented across, I don't know, I mean, we need to have this kind of dialogues and these kind of webinars, because we learn this. I mean, I'm realizing, after seeing your example of the NBS, that you're basically going back to, you're renaturing a lot of things like parks and rivers, which we maybe in my setup in Sikkim in the Himalayas, we already have. Our parks are wild. Maybe we would actually be annoyed at the municipalities for not doing their job or for not keeping things very neat and clean. But now I do understand, as I learned from you, that, okay, it doesn't have to be very neat all the time. It can be a little bit more natural. So I think if we document these, like Smriti, she's coordinating people, bringing people from ideas globally. So once documented, these can go, at the higher levels, and they can climb the ladder, go to the local level, then they go to the provincial level. Eventually, they can be policies at the national level. So I feel, thank you very much. This was really very interesting what you presented.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
just one word, Dolly. Just wanted to say that it is hopeful, like the nature-based solution pathway is something that the Sustainable Community Working Group at South Asia is also working. And our team will be there to document all these webinar conversations and take it up the ladder. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Up to you, Dolly.
Yeah, because of time, I just want to maybe we can close the session. Yeah. So many thanks for all the speakers, because I think it's the first time we have a joint talk from one speaker from India and one speaker from Taipei. So I'm afraid it's
One speaker from Algeria, to correct.
Yeah. So we don't have much time to talk more about the topic, but I think we have all the contact information among our speakers and the moderator, and all the participants can find all the information from online, and you can just send email to ask question. So in this session, I want to thanks for all your participation, for speakers, moderator, and Features South Asia Hub, our security, and the colleagues from Features South Asia Hub. And I think through today's talk, we can think more about how NBAs and urban planning can contribute to the SDG 11 from Asia perspectives. So thank you again for all the participants. Please continue to follow the activity organized from Features South Asia Hub, and also the ECR talk series from Feature Taipei. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lovely conversation.
Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you, everybody, and bye-bye. We will share the recordings.
Thank you very much, Smriti.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
It's
Thank
good
you.
to
Thank
learn
you.
more and
And thank you to
reinvent.
all the speakers. Very, very, very enlightening conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.